its parent, affiliates, or stations. VCMG Live is not responsible for any content, information, or opinions expressed. User bears full responsibility for their reliance on such content, information, or opinions.
Amp2.tv presents You and Your Doctor, teaching you to live a longer and healthier life. Proudly sponsored by All County Healthcare, where people are the heart of our business. All County Healthcare is a Medicare certified agency where one call will service all your home care health needs. For more information, call 954-717-7027 or visit our website, allcountyhealthcare.com. Now, let's get informed to living a longer and healthier life. Here is your host for today's show.
Welcome back to another episode of You and Your Doctor, sponsored by All County Healthcare. We are a certified home health care agency. We're servicing Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County. You can reach us directly at 954-717-7027. I am your host, Louise Gomez. And tonight, we have Dr. Constance Katsafanas, who is a vascular neurologist with Marcus Neuroscience Institute. You can reach the Institute at 561-955-4600. The website is baptisthealth.net/Marcus Neuroscience Institute. And this is really all in honor of Stroke Awareness Month. I get to meet you, Dr. Constance. Thanks for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me and giving me a chance to talk about stroke.
Yeah, I think it's so important. It's Stroke Awareness Month. We really get to share the word, and everybody, I'm sure, knows somebody who at least had a stroke, so we can kind of delve into maybe what happens when someone has a stroke. Like, what does that look like?
So when somebody has a stroke, there are two types of stroke. There are ischemic strokes, which are the clotting kind, and hemorrhagic strokes, which are the bleeding kind. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the clotting kind, which is the more common one, and what people think of when they think someone's having a stroke.
Right.
So when you have a stroke, it's basically like a clog in a garden hose. So your brain needs blood to get oxygen and nutrients so that you can think and so that you can move. And you're basically wired on opposite sides. So in most people, the right side of the brain controls the left side of the body. So in order for the right side of the brain to be able to do this, it needs blood and nutrients, and the blood vessels, the arteries in your brain, carry these to the brain. If you get a clot that sticks in one of those arteries, it's exactly what you think would happen if you got a clot if you got a plug in a garden hose.
Good analogy.
The flowers would start to wilt,
Right.
and if the clot or plug wasn't taken out, the flowers would eventually die. So when somebody has a stroke, that's their brain wilting. And their brain is wilting and it's in trouble and it's sending out the stress signals, and the blood pressure goes up and the heart rate goes up, and you can't move one side, or you can't talk, or you're numb, or dizzy, or you can't see. And all of these things say, to me, as a vascular neurologist, they say, this is a stroke.
Right.
So when that happens, the brain is in trouble. It's threatened. There's a threatened area of the brain. It's called the penumbra, which is basically the area that's in danger. And if you can reverse the stroke, if you can break up or pull out that clot, you have a chance to save that penumbra, that area of the brain that's in trouble.
Interesting. What are some of the warning signs that we can look out for ourselves or for loved ones?
So a lot of strokes have no warnings. And it's really important that if you're watching this, and you or someone you love or someone you know or someone who knows someone you know has had a stroke, it's really important to understand that this is a thing that happens. This isn't somebody's fault or something that you could have said, well, if I hadn't done X, I wouldn't have had Y. No. Risk factors are multifaceted and extremely varied, and they affect different people in different ways. And not everybody has warnings of a stroke. Sometimes people will have what's called a TIA, which is a transient ischemic attack.
Okay.
So what we were talking about before, right? Ischemia is lack of blood flow. So transient ischemia means lack of blood flow that fixes itself. It goes away. So somebody might lose the use of their arm for half an hour or 15 minutes, and it goes away and it gets better, and they're like, okay, I'm fine. You're not fine. Something like that happens. You
Yeah.
need to go get it checked out, because that
Definitely.
could definitely be a warning sign of a stroke. As far as signs of a stroke, those are a little different. Typically, they affect one side of the body. So this side will be fine, but this side won't work as well. They can affect speech. They can affect the ability to understand words. You might see a facial droop,
Right.
or dizziness, inability to stand, inability to use a hand or an arm or a leg. These are all signs of a stroke.
Yeah. I know it all too well. I saw my mother have a stroke, so.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That's
so as-
incredibly scary,
And it was.
and
was.
it sticks with you.
Yeah. She had high blood pressure, so I didn't know if that had something to do with it.
So high blood pressure is a risk factor for stroke.
It is, right?
And you might say, how is high blood pressure a risk factor for a blood clot? Shouldn't that push blood through more? And I just said earlier that when you have a stroke, your blood pressure goes up. So
right.
how could high blood pressure be a risk factor? The tubes that carry your blood, the arteries, they like to be soft and they like to be squishy. And the blood just likes to kind of flow through. But when you have high blood pressure, it hammers on those arteries all the time. And it causes little injuries inside, and those little injuries can form clots. And it makes the arteries less compliant, less spongy. So high blood pressure can lead to strokes from what's called endothelial injury. The endothelium is just the inside of the blood vessel. So high blood pressure is a risk factor for stroke that way.
So who would we say is most at risk for a stroke? Would I be at risk if I know, let's say my mom had it, my grandmother had it? So would that?
Sure. So family history definitely plays a role in all aspects of health.
Right.
When I, as a stroke doctor, look at a family history, if you tell me my grandma has a stroke
Yes.
at 92, I am less concerned
Okay.
that this is a family history problem.
Really?
If you tell me my mom had a stroke at 45,
Okay.
I start thinking about rare causes of stroke, like hereditary causes of stroke, things that can really up your risk factors. There are genetic diseases that can predispose you to stroke.
I see.
As far as who's most likely to have a stroke, it would be somebody with those very specific things, of course, but also independent risk factors for stroke. So when I say an independent risk factor, I mean a thing that when you look at somebody that has this thing versus somebody that doesn't have this thing, they're more likely to get a stroke. Uncontrolled diabetes,
Right.
uncontrolled hypertension, smoking.
Right.
And now we're learning and we're looking more into things like how much you move, you know, how sedentary you are versus how much you move.
Right.
I had a professor in medical school who said, move more, sit less, eat food, mostly plants. And that was
makes it sound so
and that
easy,
was
right?
right.
Yes.
I was like, well, that's why
Yeah.
do I have a job?
Yeah.
And you know, moderation.
True.
Moderation for all things.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But you know, when you say who is most likely to have a stroke, if I had to say, you know, the number of people, like somebody who's over 75, smokes, has high cholesterol,
Right.
high blood pressure, an abnormal heart rhythm, and
Sure.
diabetes, like
Yeah.
that's right up there.
yeah. That sounds
So-
like a,
So that's a perfect storm.
yeah, perfect storm for that.
But people are living longer. Medical science is incredible.
Yes.
So we're seeing more. We see more pathology build up over time because none of these risk factors happen overnight. If you're watching this and you're in your 40s,
Right.
and you say, "Oh my God, I have diabetes. I'm going to have a stroke." No, not necessarily. That doesn't mean that that's going to happen. But diabetes is a modifiable risk factor, which means you can take steps to control it so that it doesn't become a risk factor as you age.
Yeah.
Same with cholesterol.
Right. So it sounds like our lifestyle, we have a huge component as far as us taking, you know, the right steps towards.
We do. You are absolutely the driver of your own health. Now, can perfectly healthy marathon runners have strokes? Absolutely.
Right.
Is it as common as 75-year-old guys who sit around and drink and smoke all day? It is not.
Right, right.
The one important thing that, I mentioned, if you're watching this and you're 40, we're really bad at going to doctors.
Yes.
Like we are really, really bad at going to doctors because nobody wants to be told that they need to do something for their health. But finding out that you have cholesterol in your 30s or 40s can be
Right.
a phenomenal gift.
Absolutely.
Because you can address this problem. So, if I had one piece of advice, it would probably be see a primary care doctor. They're your first line of defense against a lot of these things.
This is true. So that just leads right into what can we do to lower our risks? You said see your primary care doctor.
See your primary care doctor and follow their advice. They went to
Right.
school for a long time.
Right.
And they're pretty good at this. Move more, sit less.
Right.
Things in moderation, alcohol, sweets.
Yes.
Lower BMI is good, but a BMI that's too low is not
Right.
good. BMI is a
Body
scale that, a body mass index is a scale that tells how overweight or underweight someone is. And it's not the best scale, but being horribly overweight is definitely
Sure.
cause for concern.
Right.
So
It's just the gateway to so many other.
it is. And
Illnesses.
your primary care doctor is really your gateway to good health.
Yes.
Don't smoke. If you smoke, quitting is the single best thing you can do for your health.
That's
It is.
great
It is.
advice.
The impact of quitting cigarettes is immeasurable.
And vaping is so rampant amongst the youth.
It is. It is. And when something's new and not well understood, there are, of course, a myriad of concerns with it as well. And I mean, vaping's not new, but it's
Sure.
newer than
Well,
a cigarette.
Yes, absolutely.
So, all of these things have long downstream health consequences.
This is so true. So true. So we did talk about age. You did give a great example of, if someone is younger and they have a risk, or, somebody who's running a marathon,
Right.
and yeah. So
So talking about age, if I
Yes.
said to you, what do you think young is?
well, it's all relative, right?
Right.
Because I'm 58, so for me, young now is anything under 50.
Sure.
Right.
What do you think if you were to look at somebody and say, that person's old? What would you take a guess? Or older?
Probably where I'm at now in my life, I'd say over 75.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right now, when I see somebody who's in their late 60s or early to mid 70s
Right.
and they have a stroke, I say, I might actually be a little young
Wow.
because we're getting real good at this.
Right.
So the better people are doing with themselves, like it used to be, 50s was old, right?
Right, it's true.
Right?
Right.
It's not anymore. If
Until
somebody
I
in there-
turn 50, and then I'm
Right.
like, it's not old anymore.
Right. If somebody in their 50s has a stroke now, I'm like, wait a minute, what else is going on here? But it's all completely relative. Some of the scales that we look at break down risk factors by age, and like over 74 gives you more points, under 65 gives you no points.
Okay.
So like,
Wow.
yeah.
It's changed a lot, like
It
you
has.
said, from-
Medicine is always changing. It's why it's a practice.
Absolutely. That's a good point. I like that. So, Dr. Constance, if someone has an abnormal heart rhythm, why is their risk higher?
That's a really great question. So your heart pumps blood. It has 4 chambers, and it pumps the blood up through the aorta and into the carotids or the vertebrals and into the basilar.
We have a quick commercial break, but we're going to continue on with that. We'll be right back
Absolutely.
because this is interesting. All right. We'll be right back. Quick commercial break.
All County Healthcare has exciting news for any and all patients with COPD or other respiratory ailments. Listen to what renowned pulmonologist Dr. Keith Robinson has to say.
Hello, I'm Dr. Keith Robinson, board-certified pulmonologist, medical director at Fusion Health Pulmonary Rehabilitation, and a board member with the American Lung Association of South Florida. We have exciting news for patients with COPD. We now offer IPV therapy at home, which has been demonstrated to improve airway clearance, decrease hospitalization, and improve quality of life of patients with COPD. Please call All County Healthcare for more information about this FDA-approved therapy.
For further information, call All County Healthcare now at 954-717-7027. That is 954-717-7027. Or visit our website at allcountyhealthcare.com. You can also find us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Remember, All County Healthcare always puts the patient's needs first. You are listening to You and Your Doctor, Living Longer and Healthier, an informative show that helps you find answers to questions you always wanted to ask, but did not have that somebody that could make a difference in your life. Call into the show if you have a question at 888-565-1470, and we will put you on the air to inform all our listeners. Now, back to our show.
Thank you for tuning back in, everybody. We are with Dr. Constance, and we're talking all things stroke. It's Stroke Awareness Month. She is a vascular neurologist with Marcus Neuroscience Institute, and you can reach them at 561-955-4600. Also, baptisthealth.net/Marcus Neuroscience Institute. Dr. Constance, we were having a great conversation. I'm sorry I had to cut you off, but the question was, if someone has an abnormal heart rhythm, why is their risk higher? So let's
Gotcha.
get back into that.
So we were talking about how the heart squeezes and pumps blood all the way up into the carotids, which are the two arteries, one on either side of the neck, and the basilar artery, which is the artery in the back of the brain. When your heart is beating correctly, I mean, we all remember the videos from grade school, right? Lub-dub, lub-dub, lub. Yep,
Yeah.
there it is. When your heart is beating correctly, this is synchronized, and all of the blood is moving, and your ejection fraction, which is the percentage of blood that gets pushed up in each beat, is the right number. And there's not blood just sitting around. Blood just sitting around is very bad.
Oh.
So if somebody has something like atrial fibrillation, which is called, commonly you might have heard of AFib.
Okay, yes, I have.
It basically means the atria, which is the top of the heart, fibrillates, which means it just kind of like quivers.
Okay.
And it might not do it all the time. It's called paroxysmal AFib.
Okay, so it's random.
Right, it can be random. So if your doctor suspects you have it, or if you have a stroke when you're younger, you might have to wear something called a Holter monitor, which is a heart rate monitor, or get something implanted called a loop recorder to kind of tattle on your heart. That sounds super scary, have
does.
something implanted. But a loop recorder is about the size of a matchstick. It just lives under your skin and it tattles on your heart remotely.
Okay.
So if you have this abnormal rhythm and the atrium isn't squeezing the way it's supposed to, the lub and the lub-dub, the blood pools. And when blood pools, what happens if it, sorry, this is a little gross, what happens if you've got a spot of blood on the floor and it's
Yeah.
just sitting there?
Yeah.
It's going to clot. Remember what I said a stroke was? It's clots.
Yes.
So if the blood just sits there and clots, eventually when it gets down into that ventricle is going to whoop and pop that clot right up.
Oh, I see.
That's why it raises your risk. So sometimes you'll see young people who actually have strokes from AFib or have a very high stroke risk because they have this this abnormal heart rhythm.
That's so interesting. I'm glad I learned that.
Yeah,
I
one
did
of my good
not-
friends in college had AFib, perfectly healthy.
Really?
Yeah.
So how would somebody know if they have an AFib? They would just in their routine physical through the doctor. Back to basics, going back to the doctor, right?
So sometimes it's caught on a routine physical if they do something called an EKG, which is where they put the stickers on your chest.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's caught because I've actually had a few people who caught it from their Apple Watch.
Really?
Because their Apple Watch
Oh,
picks up an abnormal heart rate.
interesting.
Some people think that it might be like panic or palpitations, and they ask their doctor about it, and their doctor says, well, let's get a heart rhythm monitor check. So yeah, communication with your doctor and awareness of your own health is key. I can't stress this enough. If something feels wrong, it's
Yeah.
very possible something is wrong. So you should be empowered
This
to
is
talk
true.
to your doctor.
This is true. We have our own intuition.
We do.
We can't deny that.
And, you know, if I had a nickel for every time somebody told me, like, yeah, but I don't feel like I can just talk to my doctor, you know, I would probably not need to practice medicine. But then you need a different doctor.
Right.
Like, I don't have any better advice than that.
I know. So let's talk about the time factor. So how important is the time factor when it comes to treating a stroke? Let's talk about that. I feel
Time
like it's-
is the most important thing.
Right.
Time is brain. Time is brain. When somebody is having an ischemic stroke, so blood clot, they're losing 1.9 million neurons per minute.
Wow.
That's a lot. And I don't know.
wow.
I don't know about you, but I don't have a whole lot to spare.
Neither do I.
Like,
Neither do I.
I've got a 5-year-old and a medical
Oh,
practice.
yeah.
Like, no, I don't have neurons to spare.
Wow, that's an alarming statistic.
It is a terrifying statistic as a neurologist, because when I'm sitting there and I'm waiting for somebody to get back from CT scan, or I'm waiting for somebody's
Yeah.
family to tell them the last time they saw them normal, and I'm just sitting there thinking, this is a lot of neurons.
Right.
Time is critical. Now, we've talked a lot about what goes wrong in a stroke, but let me tell you what can go right. If you call 911 the minute you suspect somebody's having a stroke, if you are talking to someone and they can't talk to you and they can normally talk to you, and
Right.
if something, my general rule for people is if something on your body stops working that was
Yes.
working previously, please call a doctor immediately.
Absolutely.
That is my rule. Like, this arm, not working?
Right.
Was it working 5 minutes ago? Go to the doctor.
Right.
If you call 911 quickly,
Yes.
we have a medicine. At Baptist, we use a medicine called TNK, which is
Okay.
tenecteplase. Tenecteplase is a close cousin of a medicine called alteplase, which is called TPA,
Okay.
which is a clot-busting medicine.
Oh, okay.
So these medicines break up blood clots. Remember how I told you about that
Yes.
little clot getting stuck in that hose?
Yeah.
The job of these medicines is to break up those blood clots and allow flow to be restored. It's,
Right.
if you'll pardon my inelegance, it's kind of like Drano.
Exactly. And it, you know, calling 911, because I feel like the ambulance is going to give them a heads up, and I'm imagining they'll be prepared
They
with
alert.
that. the
Exactly.
alert.
So you can't, only very specific ambulances can give what's called thrombolytics, which is TPA and
Okay.
TNK in the ambulance, because you have to get a head CT first.
Sure.
And that head CT tells you whether it's a bleeding stroke or a clotting stroke. You can imagine how bad it would be if you gave that medicine to somebody having a bleeding stroke.
Sure.
So if you get to the hospital fast enough,
Right.
you might be eligible for this medication if you're having a stroke. The outside window is 4.5 hours.
Right.
And there are things that can make you less of a good candidate
I
for this
see.
medicine.
I see.
But, you know, the neurologists at the
Mm-hmm.
hospital are really well trained in this, and so are all the emergency medicine doctors.
I was just going to ask you, because we have like literally 1 minute left. So what does the team at Marcus Institute do for patients coming in for the stroke? So
So it's a stroke
Let's-
alert. So the
Yep.
first thing you do is you get a head CT, you get the history, you find out the last known well, you find out if there's anything that stops this person from being eligible for this med, and you give it. And then if you see the clot, if the clot is big enough, they might
Right.
go for endovascular retrieval to pull the clot out.
really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Through the vascular system, they can thread up a catheter and pull it out.
So amazing how technology is just changing so rapidly for all of our benefits.
It's incredible, and it's an incredible joy and privilege to be able to be a physician in this environment where I can help people on what's oftentimes the worst day of their life.
Oh my God. Thank you. We're going to end on that beautiful note. It was such a pleasure meeting you,
Thank
Dr.
you so much
Constance.
for
You did a
having
great
me.
job. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your gift with the world. We appreciate that. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you next week.